Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Socrates, Garrett Live. We're coming to you from Jackson, Mississippi, from We Believe Digital. WeBelieveDigital.com is the way you find us on the web. Our podcast is being presented to you tonight and brought to you by Earth Blend Coffee. Earth Blend Coffee, the finest coffee that money can buy. Being roasted right here and distributed from Jackson, Mississippi, the capital of Mississippi in the deep, deep South. You know, we're so far back in the woods, sometimes they had to pump sunlight back there to get to us. But we still rise. We still achieve, and we still work every day to try to make this world a better place. And here at We Believe Digital Podcast Studio, we have exciting guests that come on with us each week. And this week is no different. So this evening, my guest is Martez Hopkins, a young man that I've known now for the last 5 or 6 years and watched him grow in the community and getting involved in community service and working hand in hand currently with Councilman Aaron Banks, doing a wonderful job as serving his constituencies and the citizens of Jackson. I had an opportunity to watch him work during this crisis that we had with not only the pandemic, but also with the ice storm that we were dealing with and this water crisis that the citizens were dealing with. And I saw him there every day, hands-on, delivering water, taking it to the cars, being polite, thanking everybody for coming. Just a tremendous young man, a young man that is a role model for folk his age, that they can get involved and make a difference. So I'm going to ask Martez to introduce himself, tell me a little bit about his background and, you know, his family and where you went to school and all that good stuff, Martez.
Thank you so much. Like I said earlier today, Mr. Socrates, Garrett, we really appreciate this opportunity to come to the radio station on today. It's been a blessing working with you during these tough times, and we think you're a great man, Mr. Socrates. My name is Martez Hopkins. I'm from South Jackson. I went to Forest Hill High School, graduated in 2000. My mom and my dad are from Jackson, Mississippi. Still live in Jackson, Mississippi today. Growing up, the only thing I knew was basketball. I love basketball. And, you know, I went to college, played at Forest Hill, had the opportunity to play a little college basketball. And once I came home, I just wanted to serve the people in the community. And with that, we started a mentoring group for children by the name of Knowledge Camp University. And we started doing events, you know, for children just to keep them out of trouble, keep them out of the streets. And eventually, that mentoring group turned into a basketball team. And so we started playing a little basketball, and that's when President Councilman Aaron Banks of Ward 6 noticed the work that we was doing via social media, via radio interviews just like this, and he called me and wanted me to be on the team. And once I became on Councilman Aaron Banks' team, it just blew my mind and opened my eyes about so many ideas and so many community activities that, you know, we could be doing. So I just want to give a shout out to Councilman Aaron Banks for bringing somebody like me on his staff, and I really appreciated that.
Well, Martez, I certainly watch your work ethics, and it's tremendous seeing that you clean cut, you're a role model, as I said earlier. And so, you know, I want to thank you for being that so that other young men your age can see that. And that you never know who you inspire from day to day. You know, just like I notice you, other young guys are noticing you as well. And so, you know, you're doing a great job. Now tell us a little bit more about KCU, about your your basketball league?
Yes, sir. Well, just to piggyback off of some of the things you said about my work ethics. When I was a little boy, my dad does carpenter work, right? And he would wake up on every Saturday morning. He's 71 years old and still continue his same routine today. But when I was a little boy, he used to wake me up every Saturday morning at about 7 o'clock. We load up the truck. And then go out into work. And my dad, we usually didn't make it back home till 10 o'clock that night. And what happened was, that taught me great work ethics. Mm-hmm. It taught me how to work hard, even though I hated carpenter work. Mm-hmm. When I got grown, when I became a man, I remembered how hard my dad worked. So when this mentoring group situation came up, when this basketball team came up, you know, I knew that I wasn't going to be the sharpest guy in the room, or I knew I wasn't going to be the most organized guy in the room. But what I told our staff was that we will not be outworked. Regardless of what the circumstance is, regardless of what the situation is, we going to continue to outwork everybody else that has a basketball team. We're going to outwork them. That has a mentoring group, we're going to outwork them. Just so that's what we really build our mentoring group on, is just hard work and just being dedicated to the work in the community. About our basketball team and about the league that we're trying to start right now. So we have a series of basketball teams, and a lot of people, they identify Knowledge Camp University with basketball, but it's not a basketball team. It's a mentoring group that just so happens to have a basketball team. So, you know, when I was growing up, Mr. Garrett, like, I realized and recognized that the only thing that I was good at was children and basketball. So it just made sense for us to start the mentoring group. And then God showed me so many kids, so many children, Mr. Socrates, that we decided to turn our mentoring group into a basketball team, a basketball program. And when I tell you, the basketball team is leaps and bounds. Like, they are really good. I teach them to work hard. We teach them about dedication. We teach them that when you're playing basketball, you're not playing for yourself. You're playing for the person that's standing to the right of you and the person that's to the left of you. And if you play your hardest for the person on the right and the person on the left, at the end of the game, we're pretty sure that we're going to come out with some really great results.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, you were mentioning to me that as a boy, you really loved basketball. How did you get your start, and who was your mentor and helping you along the way as a young man?
Mr. Garrett, like, this a very sensitive topic to me, because when I was a little boy growing up, and let's just tell the truth about a situation, like, I was one of those children, you know, coming up in a single-parent home, and I met a gentleman by the name of Shokwe Lumumba. I met Coach Shokwe when I was in the 8th grade, and, you know, Coach Shokwe had a very great basketball team, and he used to take us out of town all the time. And, you know, when we went out of town, a lot of my teammates would go and do teammate type of things, like go to the swimming pool or go to play games or whatever the case might be. But all of my time when I was out of town on those basketball tournaments, all of my time was spent in the room with Coach Shokwe. Coach Shokwe used to talk to me and teach me about the black movement and every single thing that he had to do and the struggle when he was coming up. And Shokwe made me promise to him that once I became grown, or once I became a man, that I would give back to my community. And when Coach Shokwe passed away, it hurted me so bad, Mr. Socrates. It hurted me really, really bad. So the only way that I figured out that I could deal with that emotional pain was to start a mentoring group and a basketball team for the people in our community. So I just want to give a shout out to the late, great Chokwe Lumumba that meant so much to me.
Well, I tell you, he was a great man. I, too, followed Chokwe. I know I marched with him from Jackson State University down to the city compounds. You know, I assisted him when he got in trouble up in Lee County when he told the judge up there that he could buy better justice than this in many courts. And at that point in time, they locked him up. And, you know, those of us that were supporters, we aided in his defending himself in that trial. He became the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. And at the point in time that he became mayor, you know, there was a controversy because his background was that of a radical, a freedom fighter on the same line with Malcolm X and Stokely and those guys. And so having him come into the position as mayor of a city, no one really knew what to expect because at some point in time, the philosophy was that blacks ought to have their own land and maybe even carve out some counties inside of Mississippi as a black nation, etc. So we didn't know exactly what to expect from the mayor. And I know that the white community was scared to death. They were polarized and in that way. He became mayor and he began to demonstrate the kind of leadership that brought everybody to the table and brought attention that we could be an inclusive society and that we could all get along and work together. So yeah, his death was a tremendous loss, and not only you, but most people that I know have mourned and miss him terribly. And I'll just say this, Martez, his son now, Chokwe Chokwe Lumumba, who is the current mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, you know, is dealing with a crisis situation in Jackson with the pandemic and with the water crisis, etc. And so, you know, he's going to have to really lean back and pull upon some of that same knowledge that his dad imparted to you. He's going to have to lean on that for himself now in order to be able to get the citizens through this crisis that we're in. And he was so loved as a man that Councilman Kenny Stokes, even though those of you that follow politics in Jackson, Mississippi know that there's a current feud between the Mayor Chokwe Lumumba and Councilman Kenny Stokes. But Kenny Stokes told me, he said, you know, I love the late Chokwe Lumumba. He says, when I go to the cemetery, I put flowers on 3 graves. I put flowers on my mom's grave, Charles Tisdale's grave, and Chokwe Lumumba. And I do that religiously because I have that kind of love. And so it's a situation, so maybe one day those two gentlemen can come together and solve some things. But we're gonna keep working because we know at the end of the day, we all must work to win and make this place a better place for all of us to live. Now, back to your basketball thing. I'm so intrigued about that because first thing that I got to get intrigued because you've asked us to help sponsor this basketball team. And I want to let you know tonight that we are going to do that. We were asked to sponsor the Callaway basketball team to the tournament and pay for the express, the bus that they needed to go down to Biloxi, the coast where they had the tournament. And, you know, to whom much is given, much is required. And so we were able to send those boys down there, and we're proud to do that. And now you are here saying that we need to sponsor not only the high school basketball team, but we need to look at these 3rd and 4th and 5th grade guys that you got playing now because you're making a tremendous impact in their lives. And then after that, I have Reverend Arthur Sutton, who has a group that is doing outstanding work with youth in basketball, and we will be sponsoring that activity as well. Tell us a little bit more about your third graders and fourth graders and where you've had your success and how your program works.
Yes, sir. Well, what happened is we identified that since Parks and Recreation, the city of Jackson, they didn't have a league this year due to COVID and things of that nature. So what happened, it wasn't anywhere for the third and fourth graders to play basketball. And so what we decided to do, since we had many third graders and many fourth graders, we decided to step out of the box and try something new. And what we're trying to do right now, we're trying to start our own independent league for third and fourth graders, simply because it's nothing for those babies to do during these type of times. And Knowledge Camp University, we really feel like, and we really believe that if these kids don't have something to do, they gonna create something to do. And that is so dangerous for third, fourth, fifth, any type of children, any type of child, not to have anything to do and start creating their own fun activities, which a lot of times lead them into trouble.
So what age bracket are we talking about in the third grade?
We're talking age brackets from children from ages 8 to 10. Because that's the area, or that's the market that, a lot of children are left behind. So another thing that we did with Knowledge Camp University, we started our own league. So where we got the idea from is 6 years ago, we started our own independent league for babies, children ages 4 through 7-year-olds. And the league is phenomenal. I'm talking about the parents love it, the children love it, the people in the community love it. So when I saw that we could do that with the babies, and once I found out Parks and Recreation wasn't having anything for the third and fourth graders to do, then that's when God sent me that idea to, hey, Martez, you could start a league for these children. Now, the hard part about it is, we have to rent the facilities for the children to play. The facility that we're renting, they don't have a scoreboard. We have to pay for uniforms. We have to pay for referees. So that's the hard part about, having a mentoring group or having a basketball team. Is really hard. Let me say this again. It's really hard to find the support that people need for children for whatever reason. For whatever reason. And the thing about it, Mr. Garrett, this is the thing that I have noticed. When I was coming up, the figures that had the hold on the community or the hold on the youth was the teachers and the preachers, right? If you have any type of issues, when I was a baby having any type of issues, my mom would take me to the pastor. The pastor would talk to me. If I was having an issue at school, come to the school, talk to the parents. But now it didn't change. Now it's the basketball coaches, the football coaches, the baseball coaches, the track coaches that really have a hold on these kids. And Mr. Garrett, you will be amazed at what coaches could get their children to do. Just a month ago, I took our basketball recruits and we cleaned up Rainy Road, picked up the trash on Rainy Road. These children were so excited. You hear what I'm saying? They were so excited about cleaning up Rainy Road that, just last week in practice, I had a recruit pull me to the side and say, Coach, when can we go back and clean some more streets? And at the end of the day, we just need whoever has the knowledge or whoever have the know-it-all to get to these children's heart these are the types of people that need the support. What we have to do a better job at, we have to do a better job of supporting the people and the entities that support us.
Absolutely, a point well said. How do you raise enough money to carry on all of the activities for all of the good work that you're doing? And how can people support you? Sometimes we don't ask enough. Sometimes we don't, talk enough about what we're doing and what the needs are. And so, like at Sundays on church services, we don't have time to speak to the congregation when we got 1,000, 1,200 people in the audience to talk about what you're talking about here today. And I mean, this is so critical that our community here, the work that you're doing and the impact that you're having on kids at the age, that's a vulnerable age right there. And so how can folk like myself get more involved in contributing to your program? Do you have a website, or do you have a Cash App, or do you have any way of letting the folk know how they can help?
Very great question, Mr. Garrett. First things first, how we get the job done, Mr. Garrett. I spend so much of my day, time, and nighttime just in prayer, just talking to God. I could remember, remember this so clearly. When God first sent me this idea of KCU, He told me that I asked Him. I said, God, how would I be able to do this by myself? And I could hear Him. I heard Him clear as day, Mr. Garrett. He told me, He said, son, I will never have you without. You just go do the work. So what I feel like, Mr. Garrett, this is exactly what I feel like. I feel like if we use our work ethics and work as hard as we can and doing the right thing, that eventually the rightest person will see it. And the rightest person will invite us to do radio interviews, and these people will want to reach out and help us. So that's what we do. And when we have the events, Mr. Garrett, we have many events. And what I just try to do what I saw Shokwe do. Coach Shokwe used to make these things as affordable as possible. Mm-hmm. Because I understand and I know that 65 to 70% of our community now is single parent homes. And what we try to do, we try to identify that and make this as affordable as possible. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when we try to make it as affordable as possible, I have to come out of my pocket to pay for certain things. Mm-hmm. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, I know that God will not let me miss any meals. He won't let me miss any blessings. And another thing, Mr. Garrett, I just pay my tithes. So when I go to church, I just always try to remember to pay my tithes and give back to the church. And and God always make a way.
And He will make a way, and He makes that way by you telling individuals about the work that you're doing. It's everybody has to have an advocate. Everybody's got to have some help getting the message out. And we here at We Believe are proud to be doing this evening. And I want you to know that Attorney Brent Hazard, now you may not know him. He's a white gentleman. He's an attorney here in the Jackson, Mississippi area. But when I told him about what you were doing, he said, I want to be a part of that and helping you, sponsor him. And so, you can look forward to Attorney Brent Hazard speaking to you, talking to you about your program, seeing what your needs are. And he and I are working very close together in a number of different projects. And so it's a real blessing to have him in the fold, and he didn't hesitate, at all.
Yes, sir.
And so, sometimes we just got to get the word out a little bit better. And this is what We Believe Studio is for. is for our folk in our community to be able to come and speak about what they're doing. And so we're not only talking into the local audience. We believe digital podcast does not have a frequency that is operating within a certain mile circumference area. When you get to Pickens, Mississippi, you won't lose our signal because they are listening to you tonight, Montez, in China.
Wow.
In
Wow.
New Mexico.
Wow.
They listen to you all over the world.
Man.
And so, listeners, you're out there, you hear the work that this young man is doing. We want you to get involved. We want you to assist. We want all our black churches all across the country, and I'm not talking about here in Mississippi, because we all have a responsibility for these kids. We all should be putting something back and trying to make certain that they have the same opportunities that we had coming up as children. As children, we didn't have to deal with all of the nemesis and all of the things that they have to fight their way through.
Amen.
As children, we had two parents in the home. 90% of us. I didn't see marijuana until I was a junior at Alcorn State University. It's the first time I saw it, so I didn't see it as a child. I didn't have to deal with the impact of drugs. I didn't know a drug dealer as a child. And so we didn't have to fight through the challenges that our youth are dealing with today. And so much now, we're so over-medicated, and we're talking about all of the things. You know, everybody is, what you call that, Dr. G, when the child is hyper, HDP, or
DC.
and what all he needs is some room to run on and some way to burn off energy. You know, you can't hardly raise a boy in a front yard that's 20 by 30. That's difficult to do. He's got too much energy for that. And so the work that you're doing is so critical now, much more critical than it was in our days.
Yes, sir.
And so you're to be applauded for that. I'm going to shift gears on you just a little bit now. And Jackson has been involved in a severe water crisis that has garnered national attention. And I've seen clips on MSNBC, and my good friend Kehinde Gaynor is now a movie star. I see him on all of the television networks and talking about the sacrifice and the suffering that this crisis has caused for our citizens in Jackson. In South Jackson, where you operate in a domicile, got hit the hardest. And I know that you were there from the very beginning handing out water. Tell us a little bit about what you saw and how the citizens were in need and how they reacted to the help.
You know, right now, Mr. Garrett, we're in a crisis right now with the water. And, you know, it has been super frustrating, but at the same time, it has been such a humbling experience. You know, we're from Mississippi, we're from Jackson, and one thing about Jackson and Mississippi people that we're survivors, you know, but it's just a horrible thing to see our people surviving the way we have to survive. But, you know, dealing with the long lines every day, you know, dealing with passing out the water, getting the water off the truck, you know, it's just a really good feel-good story, you know, for me and Knowledge Camp University and the people that help us. You know, the people in the community have been some of the nicest people ever. You know, they saying thank you. They saying, can we come and buy you something to eat? Can we buy you guys something to eat? And I can remember my dad saying something like this, and I never understood what it meant until I got grown. And if it wasn't for you, Mr. Garrett, South Jackson would be a lost ball in tall grass. we really appreciate you, Mr. Garrett. We really appreciate you. It's so many people that come out and say so many positive and nice things about what you have done for South Jackson and Councilman Aaron Banks. And we just appreciate you for helping us get through this crisis that we're in right now. And I tell people all the time that leadership matters. As a leader, your leader should have the know-it-all. Your leader should have the relationships to be able to help his people in these type of crises. And I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful that you and President Council Aaron Banks are great friends, because if it wasn't for you, we would be in a very, very tough spot.
Well, I appreciate that. Councilman Aaron Banks, along with the administration and Mayor Lumumba, gave us a call. Everything was froze to see if we could supply water to the citizens down in South Jackson at Forest Hill. And I know that Thursday morning the ice was everywhere, and we had to literally thaw out fire hydrants in Clinton to try and get enough water to fill our tankers. So we deployed a 6,000-gallon tanker down there in the ice, that Thursday, and the citizens were so grateful. They appreciated the water that allowed them to flush their toilets. Just to be able to have that stench and everything in the bathroom was taken care of was so critically important. And we were there. We got the call. Councilman Banks knew that we had the capacity. I give him credit for studying the minority business community to know what capacity is where. So he knew that we had tankers, and of course he knows we have utility crews and everything else. We're a pretty large company. We've been in business now for 40 years right here in the Jackson market, but we responded on disasters all over the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were in Houston for Harvey. We were also in Puerto Rico. We were also in the Virgin Islands. We also were in Des Moines, Iowa. So we worked all over the world. And as an African-American firm, it is our responsibility to be a first responder. Not to wait until the road's clear or the ice melts, but you got to engage at that moment where the crisis hits. And while I was grateful to see the National Guard finally respond to the mayor's request to come in and assist, but we had been there for 4 days or 5 days before they showed up. And we're there after they leave. And so, it's the kind of thing that Garrett Enterprises, a company of about 65 employees, 95% of those African Americans, 65% of those are young men. And we give young men an opportunity like you do in your basketball training with kids. 2 young men that are manning that tanker down there today are young men from the community in Forest Hill. Give them an opportunity to serve their community where they live and put some money in their pocket, because it's critical that we begin to put money in our community. You see, Montez, poverty creates a lot of the ill things that happen in our community with crime and domestic violence and broken homes. A lot of that occurs because of the lack of opportunity and the lack of funds. And so when someone has a job, they're not breaking in homes. And when someone has money in their pocket, they're not shooting somebody at about $5. There's another way of dealing with things. But the poorer you get, the more violent the society becomes, because folk are just not going to die. They're just not going to starve to death. They're just not going to do without, Let me put it this way. God created man, and he put the strongest drive in man was to survive.
That's good.
Against all odds, against all whatever the situation may be, The first and the most important thing in the drive in man is to survive. The second thing and most important drive he put in man was to reappropriate. He must grow his kind. He must reproduce. And so man is built that way, so crime will occur at its most opportune time when the survival thing is threatened. And if you can't feed your children, if you don't have water, if you don't have food, if you don't have clothes and shelter, you get crime. And so we were glad to step in and do the little work that we could do, and we'll be there the next time. And I'll turn it back to you and Councilman Aaron Banks. Tell us a little bit about him and his leadership style and what you've learned from him.
Mr. Garrett, I have learned so much from Councilman Aaron Banks. When I was coming up, like you said, poverty. We moved to Southwest Village, some apartments right here off Highway 80, and that's where my survival skills kicked in around the age of 12. Mm-hmm. Let's just say that. And so, that has stuck with me all of my life. And so when I first started working with Councilman Aaron Banks, when situations was arise, I would get upset and go back to my survival mentality. And what Councilman Banks would always tell me is, Martez, you got to be diplomatic about these type of situations, And so by me being with Councilman Banks day in and day out, walking hand to hand, shoulder to shoulder with him, he has taught me how to be humble. He has taught me how to think first, and helping the people, and I just appreciate what Councilman Banks meant to my life. It's no telling where I would be if it wasn't for Councilman Banks. And with the mentoring group and with the basketball team, he always dropped little daily nuggets into my life every single day. Just yesterday, we was having a conversation with a great man by the name of Socrates Garrett, and he went to telling Socrates Garrett about some of the things that we do in the community, and that's just the type of person that Councilman Banks is. He's been out there. I think this is day 14 or maybe day 15, and what I want a lot of people to know and understand is that Councilman Banks don't even have water. Councilman Banks just got lights. And day in and day out, he's at Forest Hill serving his people without complaining. Mr. Garrett, the lines be so long at Forest Hill High School that it makes no sense. But what I have saw Councilman Banks do is navigate this line and calm impatient constituents down just by his smile, just by his voice. He's such an amazing person that knows how to do the job right now. And that's what I want. I do understand that it's election season right now, and this is not about Ward 6, and this is not about the mayor. This is about all elections, all election positions. It's super important that the constituents know and understand that we need leaders that can lead right now. Because you never know when a COVID-19 issue comes. You never know when a winter storm gonna come. But when they do come, do we have the people in power and position to lead us and navigate us through these troubling times? And that's the type of man Councilman Aaron Banks is. And I can't say enough about his leadership style and about his position and the things that he has been doing at Forest Hill High School over the last 2 weeks.
Well, I agree with you. I kind of like a father figure to him, not taking nothing away from Barron. His dad is a champion, His dad has raised Aaron, and I know when they were in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, and Barron was involved with all of the civil rights leaders, and he's a passionate leader. And sometimes he'll call me and he said, "Will you talk to Aaron? He might listen to you." And I said, "Okay, Barron." And he's done a great job with his boys, and I can't say enough about the leadership and the role model that he has been for such a long, long time and continues to be. So I wish Councilman Banks great success in this election. He clearly has demonstrated leadership skills necessary to lead during crisis. He has demonstrated that. His poise and demeanor and the way he handles himself at the meetings and the council meetings. And I believe he's president of the city council. He's risen to that position. And so we're expecting great things from him in the future. And so I agree with you on that. Now, Montez, you got a nice ring on, and I don't know exactly. It's something like LeBron James would be wearing, I think. But where'd you get that from?
Our fourth and fifth grade basketball team just got done competing in the winter session with the NBA league in North Jackson, and we was able and lucky enough to win our second championship in January. And so this was my first time ever wearing it outside of the house. I just wanted to show.
Well, hold the ring up so the world, so everybody in China can see the ring.
China and Mexico.
Dr. J, make sure we got that on camera. And so you're fourth and fifth graders. This is their second time.
Yes, sir. We won the championship in 2018 with the City of Jackson Parks and Recreation Basketball League, and it's such a great group of boys. It's such a great group of young men and a little girl. And the thing about this team, the most special thing about this team is we have kept those same 10 recruits together for over 3 years. So they just kind of used to playing basketball, kind of used to playing the style we like to play, the toughness, and and this session we've been doing this for 7 years now, Mr. Garrett.
Okay.
And it's such a hard thing to win a championship. So we was just lucky enough and fortunate enough to win our second championship in 7 years, and I'm just so proud of those group of kids, group of boys and girls, and I just wanted to bring the ring today and show you and your staff and the people that's tuned in all over the world.
Well, good. I already know that it wasn't luck, because when we opened the show, you said one thing that was tremendously important. You said, "You're not going to outwork me." Now, you might do a lot of things, but you will not outwork me. And when you have that kind of drive and that kind of attitude, it's difficult to stop that person.
Yes, sir.
Now, a made-up mind and a commitment to excellence is difficult to defeat. So, Montez, I want to congratulate you and celebrate you for what you're doing, and I look forward to having you back on the show, and we can talk again and maybe bring some of your star players.
Great.
Let's give the young children the exposure that they need, because, Montez, they can't be what they haven't seen. What they see is what they can be.
Correct.
And so we got to expose them as much as we can. So any parting words for you?
Yes, sir. Like I said earlier in the interview, so many times, people see me and they automatically associate me with the basketball team. And we really do love the basketball team, but what we really love is that mentoring group, that mentoring side of it. We do proms for kids. We have kids proms. We take kids to every year. We take kids during spring break. We take 150 kids to the NBA game, let them play on the court. We have big, huge Easter egg hunts at South Jackson. We just do numerous things every single month. We try to find something fun and exciting for these children to do, as well as community service activities, picking up paper. 7 years straight, during Black Friday, we go and feed the stew pot. Feed over 200, I think it's over 200 people at the stew pot. So we're really, really proud of our basketball program, but what we're most proud of, we're most proud of our mentoring group and keeping these children locked in and engaged into our community. And you asked a question earlier about how people could reach out to us if they wanted to donate or sponsor. We do have a Cash App. And for all our people that would like to sow a seed into our mentoring group, and the name of that Cash App is KC University. KC University, and the phone number for our Cash App is 601-720-8840. I want to say it again. Our Cash App is KC University. Phone number 601-720-8840. And if you want to follow us on Facebook, my Facebook page is Robert Martez Hopkins. I want to say it one more time. Our Facebook name is Robert Martez Hopkins.
Thank you so much, Martez. It's great having you here, and we look forward to having you back real soon.
Bless you.
Thank you now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're going to take a break here, Dr. J, and we can go to a commercial on Earth Blend and let our audience see something about this wonderful coffee that's being roasted right here in Jackson, Mississippi, African-American owned company. You know, we don't believe in sharecropping in Mississippi. We African-Americans believe in owning our own land, our own companies, our own products, but we need help. We need the greater community, the community at large, to support. I want you to go to earthblendcoffee.co, earthblendcoffee.co. Order your coffee online. You won't be disappointed. You can order coffee from anywhere in the country. We'll ship it to you. And so I look forward to getting your orders tomorrow morning in our inbox when we come in. Other than that, Dr. J, we're going to play the commercial for us, and y'all take a look at that, and we'll be right back for our closing remarks.
I was nervous. Oh my God. I was super nervous.
Have you had your Earth Blend coffee today? At Earth Blend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earth Blend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
We're back. Thank you so much, Martez, and I look forward to seeing you and the next time we're out. So have a great evening. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, we're going to talk a little bit more about the things that we do here at We Believe. I want to give a shout out again to Britt Hazard, attorney Britt Hazard, who stepped up, you know, volunteered. He wasn't coerced. He stepped right up and said, you know, I want to help. I want to be a part of making this community great. And so if you need a good attorney, let me just recommend attorney Britt Hazard, a guy that has done extremely well in the legal profession and somebody that you can count on. He's a partner of mine here at We Believe. He's come in here and provided all of the infrastructure. Well, not all of the infrastructure, but certainly done a great job. And the great shots that you're seeing tonight, the quality of our shots. And Brent has got 3 or 4 cameras around here that he's fighting with me about putting more in, making the place even better than it is. So we appreciate Brent for all of the good work that he's doing, and glad to have him on board. Want to give a shout out to our operation manager in Atlanta, Peter Parker, and our IT guy, Nelson Cruz, who have worked so hard to make this a first-class studio. Peter came in and built out our infrastructure. We are now broadcasting live on We Believe TV, WeBelieveDigital.com. Go to WeBelieveDigital.com. That's our own platform, folk. Yes, that's our own platform. We have a platform just like TBN and Hulu and Netflix and everywhere else. African Americans. We have our own platform, and we're looking forward to engaging you with your content. All of our ministers that are out there that want to have their own channel, and where the listening audience and the viewers can see it worldwide. You join us at WeBelieveDigital.com and get your channel there, so all of the folk that want to find you or see you or have all of your on-demand videos will be all chronicled right there in one place. And the beauty about WeBelieveDigital.com is when you go there, you are able to see all of our ministers. You're able to see ministers from all around the world. Some of you are going to be discovered on WeBelieveDigital.com. Some of you are great, great preachers, but nobody knows you. Some of you just need the exposure to be able to assist and grow your ministry and to be able to reach citizens. We'll give a shout out to my pastor, Bishop Ronnie Cruder. He's done so much, been such an instrumental person in my life. Having worked with me as a young man and having worked with me to build my construction company, and gave us an opportunity to do the build out at New Horizon Church. When you walk into that sanctuary at New Horizon Church, that work was done by Garrett Enterprises. And it was done by Garrett Enterprises because our pastor had the vision and the commitment that he wanted to grow his folk. And so it was a sizable project, and we'll take a look at it and you'll see the quality of work that we do. So we have a lot of people, and for all of you out there that are suffering, all of you that are out there that are dealing with what the young folk call haters today, if you're not being talked about in some way, then you're probably not doing enough. You probably need to step up your game, because to the extent that you have those that are opposed to what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to do is good and necessary and will improve the quality of life, there will be resistance. There will be people that will step up and say that, or he is this, or he is that, and all you have to do is just remember that they talked about Jesus, and you have no status, nowhere close to ever becoming him. So to talk about you is child's play. And so just be reminded to get up every day, work as hard as you possibly can, have a commitment to what you want to do, stay with that, and it'll turn out right. Build your infrastructure. Now, most of the time when I say infrastructure, folk think I'm talking about roads and bridges and streets, but I'm not. The infrastructure that you got to build is your organization, your staff, those individuals that you bring around you. I always say that you got to have a good doctor. African American men, we don't go to the doctor enough. We're not trusting enough. We don't have the money nor the time. There are a lot of reasons that we have poor decline in health. There are a lot of things working against us. Poor diets, lack of exercise, stress. You don't have no idea how stressful it is for a man that can't feed his family. You have no idea the hurt and the pain that's in his heart when he can't provide. And he can't provide because he doesn't have opportunities, and at the same time then he has to listen to those who say that he's no good, that he doesn't care. And as Brent Hazard said on his show the other day, that his daddy said, you know I love you because I come home. Because it's a whole lot easier not to come home, especially when you are the person that's supposed to be providing and you're not able to do so. And in Jackson, Mississippi, the unemployment rate for young African American males is greater than 50%. The lack of opportunity is the creation of most of the problems that we have in our community. We're not bad people. We don't choose crime over college. There's the lack of opportunity, and there's the lack of a role model, and there's lack of someone to encourage you. You know, when I was a little boy in the cotton fields in Mississippi, my aunt, Mammy Brown, would look up in the sky and see an airplane, and she would say, there goes Socrates, flying that plane. You have no idea what impact that had on me. Because she said, you could do that. That could be you. And so I broadened my horizons, and I immediately looked at things differently than where I was currently positioned. And that's what's got to happen with these kids. And so it was great to have Martez on tonight, talking about working with 8 to 10-year-old children and the difference that you can make in their lives. Because if you don't get them then, if you haven't had an influence and impact on their lives before they get 13, you're in big, big trouble. And one of the tragedies that we have in our community is bad public policy. The bad public policy that created the environment where the black male could not be in the house if the female was to get any subsidy. Even right now in Section 8 housing, the male can't be anywhere around. That's bad public policy. That creates critical divide in our community. Promotes hate, disdain, and distrust. Policy. Government creates policy, and it impacts people's lives. That's why we have all of the reform now on recreational marijuana. Do you know how many black males are in prison because they had 2 joints on them? Can you imagine how that destroyed families, ruined children's lives because of that policy? Those are the kind of things that happen to us every day. Systemic racism and bad public policy creates an environment that keeps a segment of our population as less than first-class citizens. And we've got to change that. We got to create an environment where all children have the right to a quality of life, to the pursuit of happiness, the American dream. Martin Luther King said America has written a check that quite frankly has bounced. And for all of the work that's going on today and tonight on stimulus bills with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, we're grateful. We're grateful for someone saying that we got to create policy where we can reach more of those that have gone traditionally without than we ever had before. But we're in Mississippi, President Biden. It's harder to get relief to our people in a deep red state. So you're going to have to come up with new policies that creates opportunities to bypass those log jams and those that would rather see us stay in a condition than assist in moving forward. And the key to this whole thing is for us to build an environment, an entity, an infrastructure where black folk can control their destiny, and they can only do that through business and enterprises. We can't do that working for the bank. So we're going to have to put some money in our communities. It will help a great deal. I've used up all of my time. I look forward to visiting with you next week here at We Believe Digital. Take a look at earthblendcoffee.co. That's earthblendcoffee.co. Order the coffee. It's great coffee. You'll love it. Until next week, this is Socrates Garrett signing off.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.